Good evening, wherever you are. It's now a warm welcome to everybody. For the very first time, I'm going live, and we get very few people in the chat room. It's a bit surprising, but again, I know can ever broadcast midweek. We broadcast them all now once a week because now I can get something for tell people them. And I believe, say, within 6 days, the 7th day, there is so much going on that you're not able to get something for tell people. But again, family, for those of you who are waiting at the chat room, in fact, let's do the traditional welcome, which is Fatmata Kamara, Mohammed Kareem, Rebecca Nyang, Samuel Tia Fali. Yes, hi, Sister Fatmata, how you doing? I hope all is well. Thanks for our greetings. Mr. Mark Musa, Raymond, Manny Raymond, it's me that said you earlier, spoke to you earlier on WhatsApp. Thanks for coming on the program. Fabian Coca, welcome to now all. As you can see, now very few people, and this is a bit surprising, like I say, because normally the chat room, as soon as I go live, we've got a host of people, but this is my very first time they broadcast midweek. And the reason why, there's a reason, and I want to discuss them shortly. And this broadcast will be very, very short, by the way. A very short broadcast for maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes, depends. Some of you are aware that last week, and maybe another make on a tune, I've been getting an interview with Mr. Mohammed Kutubu Koroma, obviously. And Mr. Kutubu Koroma, now a controversial figure and a very polarizing figure, a wrong opinion, a split people opinion right in the middle. I've got no issues with that. In fact, I like people like that. And on one or two of my programs, Mr. Kutubu is present there. So Mr. Kutubu not a strange person. So a lot of people know him and don't hear the name. So anyway, last week we were supposed to get an interview right now this channel, but then we may get some technical difficulties, so the interview not be able to go on, and the rest of it. But the following day, while I did try to make arrangements, because the day after we failed the interview because of technical problems coming from inside, because there were so many people in the chat room and a lot of people will be called, and the same opinion again be split. People and they say, why you the platform, and okay, then other people and say, of course they're supposed to get a platform. And maybe the time say that we'll read this interview at any cost. So I decided to make a new arrangement with them on the very Sunday, this gone Sunday. So we agree that midweek, which is today, and the reason why they broadcast today, like I've been saying, normally I only broadcast on Sundays, all my broadcast. I think this is now the 65th video now with the fix. So we've come a long way and we've done really well. And I want to say thank you to you all. So we agreed that midweek, we will do the interview because I'll be one for let it overlap into the coming Sunday where we will get so much again for discuss. And then we want to fit them in, enough for being good. So I want to get the interview done away with. So we agree, one, that we'll conduct the interview today. But then on Monday, ladies and gentlemen, I get word from Mr. Kutubu that this is shocking but not surprising. Mr. Kutubu tell me that people and they try for undermine me. These are just small things we set up for help community, bring news as we get them, trying not to take sides, trying to be very objective, inform people, and we all have a discussion, like I would say, this basis of where we found this channel, and for let we have discussion like a family because there's so much going on. But not knowing that you've got people actively, they try for undermine the effort. Now, can you imagine this? I mean, you can, I don't say I'm on one of my broadcasts, that for make the channel more entertaining, more progressive, and you name it, I am looking for people who are diametrically opposed to me because that make the channel very entertaining. But for they go under me for undermine me instead of you be critical on top of the surface, because we always say, if you've got something, or we've got something that we are not doing right, put the feedback so we can learn from that. You can be critical. There's nothing wrong with you being critical. But for begin run a campaign on the ground for smear my name, which some people unfortunately have indulged into, goodness me, that tells you the shocking level on which we people still they operate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is no joke. Mr. Kutubu and myself, we are not friends. Our interview no more been a candle. We miss the interview, and then people then turn around, go to Mr. Kutubu, and tell him not promote the monitoring channel, not do this, not do that. But one good thing Mr. Kutubu do was, it seemed like the man with all of what we hear is a kind of straightforward. It give me the contact of these people when they try to undermine me. And I'm able to offend 2 of them as we speak. I won't call any names, but there's nothing hidden. I won't call names because I'm going to lend credibility to the kind innuendo when they try to cast against me, the smearing campaign when they engage pan. Okay? I managed to offend these 2. What surprised me again above all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is the people that were involved in this smearing campaign then caught me photo, then send them to Kutubu for make sure say they identify me and he identify me, then send them to him. So Kutubu take the photo, he sent them to me, he provided me with a contact. And Mr. Kutubu, if you're listening, I appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, I've gone under it and I don't find out few of the people were responsible. But they say the shocking thing about this is the people who are responsible for this are people who, in many respects, we are not associates. Many respects, we are not associates. Okay? I'm a community person. I am a social commentator and etc. So I mingle with a lot of people. So the surprising side of this entire saga is these people and myself, we are not connected in any sense. We don't socialize, we don't go to the same places, do the same things, and etc. Then happen for be strangers to me altogether. I say strangers because now social media, a lot of us can know ourselves without really knowing ourselves. Not really being familiar, but we happen to know ourselves on social media. But for that person, organize a smearing campaign against me channel, against what I try to do from the depth of my own heart. Something where I take my own money and commit to because I enjoy doing it anyway. And you not get the guts, for face me. Then you are a coward. You are a faceless snail, a slug, in fact. You know why I say a slug? I use the word deliberately. Because this is not new. A slug, are the young of the snail. Like what we can say, monkey no the left in black and the end. Where the slug they crawl, in the left trail. So if then they investigate and they know side come out and no side they go, now it exactly happened. And what they suspect about this is there are orders to this. And this is just my take, because if the people and when they do caught me for to put them on social media, encourage people and what they speak to. They try for, engage people. But then they under me, they go, no, not go to in channel. Oh, not talk this, not associate yourself with them. That man, they not this, not that. Come on. That was just over the top. And for those then where they under this, and they ask you now, please stop. It's not really called for. That's immaturity. How can we make progress? What have I done to you? Anyway, let me not get emotional about this, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we've got few things to talk about. I don't normally broadcast on Wednesdays. It was because there was an interview that I'd already put out there. Somebody making comments. Oh, Mr. Edward Okai, how are you, sir? How are you doing? I'm happy to see you on the channel all the way from the US. Mr. Okai, welcome. Mr. Francis, bye-bye, Kabia. Mr. Kabia, how are you? I hope your channel is doing well. Sister Catherine K, Ali Mans, Rex Rose, Emmanuel Vladimir Trump. Wow, what a name. Sister Sarah Wula Tarawali, Enzo Fofana. They see me regular people on the channel, and this is exactly what happened. You people know that I don't normally do broadcast midweek. It must have been something really exceptional. So Kutubu and myself were supposed to have an interview on Sunday. Because of technical issues on the own side, that interview was not to take place because of technical issues emanating from his own side. That interview never took place. So eventually what happened was on the same Sunday, we made arrangement that on the Wednesday, which is today, midweek, we will hold that interview. Only to get a call from Mr. Kutubu, a message from Mr. Kutubu on Monday saying, XYZ have been smearing your name. This is what they told me about you. Here is a photo. They caught your photo off social media, and this is it. He provided a photo to me. He provided the numbers. And I've gone to the bottom of this, and this is what it is. So there's a smear campaign against me. And what has shocked me most about this is the people who have unearthed are not people normally that are socialized with. I'm a very high social animal. I don't socialize with them. So probably there are others behind this. But why would you want to do this to me? What have I done to you? All I'm doing is I'm broadcasting. All I'm doing is I'm trying to maintain a balance and providing information that is much more needed outside there. I've used my own finance, my own scarce resources to begin something that probably if you lend credence to it, we can take it somewhere and it might be of a benefit to every one of us. But you have decided to do otherwise. And what is troubling and worrying is most likely there are others behind this, because if I don't know the people that I've already known to be behind this, then probably there are known people who are using these people to undermine my effort. But for those of you who are biblical, for those of you who are godly, I tell you that I'm a child of God, and no weapon fashioned against me shall prosper. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Then and Now. I appreciate all of you, and I want to say a very good evening. There are troubling developments back home, and earlier on today on my my website and my social channel page, I did put there a one-line question, which was, do you think that there is a constitutional problem brewing in the country? I'm not armed with all the facts, so I don't want to go deep into this because I'm not armed with all the facts. As you will know, those of you who have been with me thick and thin from day one, we only weigh on issues that we think we've got a basic or much more understanding of. But what we now know as I speak is there's some form of confusion which is being categorized in many different shapes or forms going on in the capital or in the country for that matter. And this has got to do something with constitutionality. I mean, the case of elected officials being challenged, what are the reasons? If anyone there who is fully okoron, who is fully versed with what is happening back home, will you be kind enough to pick up the phone and call me on 077 4010 7250 and try to provide a perspective and insight into what is happening back there? We really need to know. I've seen reports from AYTV, but I haven't verified this report. And it's not because it's from AYTV that I'm going to automatically take it hook, line, and sinker. No. I have to weigh these things. Okay? I have to weigh them and have to be satisfied with what I've heard, what I've seen, what I've come across, for me to actually come out and say exactly what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, there are issues relating, in my opinion, to the Constitution, because whatever is being challenged is in the Constitution. And my understanding is some parliamentarians, and the number that I've heard of is 16 of them are now being questioned. Questioned in the sense that they're not supposed to occupy parliament. They're not supposed to be parliamentarians. They're not supposed to enjoy the benefits because, again, of constitutionality, laws of the land. Something was mentioned about consolidated funds. But what I did say earlier on is, if this is what the issue is, and these people were actually elected in the just gone process, then that means the entire exercise of elections, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are questioning now. And you're going to have to ask yourself, if this is true, where is the limit? If this is true, where is the limit? Because if you begin to question that exercise, what you're doing, you're then provoking another side to also begin to question, because this part is a part of a whole. It's part of the exercise. So you're questioning one part, another people or another set are going to be questioning the other side. And then the whole process now becomes questionable, and then it becomes an issue belonging to the Constitution, a constitutional crisis, like I said. These are the early days of a new government. And the new government, of course, I have said it on record, just like any part of the world. I used a particular phrase, but it was pejoratively used. Honeymoon. It won't be in the true sense of like when people get married and then they jet off somewhere or just holiday. In other words, just relax, just chill out. Within the government concept or context, rather, that I have used this word or this phrase, enjoying your honeymoon will mean this 3 months period, the government needs to assess, the government needs to evaluate, the government needs to be handed over with what was left of the last. In other words, that would be called auditing, so that they can forge a path on how to go forward. Other than that, this government is going to struggle. So I'm not going to say what I don't know, but what I think I know, or some of the things I think I've got ideas about, would be in the interest of the general public. The last government was in power for 10 years, and they did things. Physical structures, development. Let nobody wish them away, for you will be delusional to talk as such. They did things. But within the same vein, there were things which were done which were not in the interest of the people, but a lot was done which was also in the interest of the people. But for reconciliation's sake, there should not be anything like a witch hunt. Let there be a peaceful transition, because only in such situations can we, the people, benefit. Can I just acknowledge some people quickly in the channel, please? Sister Khadija Tusaiduba, Kamara Toure Medhan, Sister Lucy Derrick, Julia Rogers, Mr. Andy Toure, still waiting for your endorsement, on YouTube. Angela Aminata Suri Kamara and Nadia Fofana. Fatmata Kamara, so true. Thanks, Sister Catherine. Just said we need to build our country. Thanks for echoing my sentiments. I mean, these are just facts. You don't have to be on the opposition side, neither on the winning side, for you to echo this kind of sentiment. These are just facts. Because for the people to be winners, these two need to cooperate. These two needs to cooperate. And where they're supposed to cooperate is what we're hearing now that happens to be like in confusion, if you like. And I'm talking about theoretically the House of the People, which is Parliament. They need to resolve this issue as quickly as possible, because work needs to be done by now, and the 3 months honeymoon period will soon be over, and then we will start holding the government accountable. I said 3 months and a minute, and I've given a reason why. Evaluate, assess, handover ceremony, understand where you are, audit reports, and etc., so you know what you are dealing with, so that you can take off smoothly. And then we can begin to ask the hard questions. Then we can begin to face the people in power as a people, as a nation. But for our people to benefit, these two needs to come together. That's why they need to sort out Parliament. Parliament needs to be sorted out ASAP, ladies and gentlemen. We need to put aside our differences in the interest of our people. I said this broadcast was going to be short. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of quick announcements. Don't forget the comment box. Be very critical about me. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me whether my body language is not acceptable. You could be ridiculous. You could be sarcastic. I'm looking forward to that, but make it known so I can learn. There are people who have indulged or who are hell-bent on undermining me. I would have thought so, but not knowing that I was going to find out not this soon, that people are actually physically trying to undermine this effort that we are doing. I say we because this is collective, because without you, I can't be. But people are now coming together and trying to undermine me. I'm not saying this. Mr. Kutubu and myself was meant to have a program last Sunday. All of you know this. I haven't given up on him. I will try to see whether we can bring him on. We had an arrangement for midweek. He agreed to it. That was on Sunday because he could not appear on the channel because of technical issues from his end. So we agreed that we'll put the interview for midweek. Mr. Kutubu is something that has got somebody that has got something to offer. Mr. Kutubu has got something to offer, regardless of the negatives. But what a group of people did was they went to him, cut my photo off social media where I'm present, just like I am now, provided the photo to him just to identify and make sure that this is the guy that we are talking about. Do not associate yourself with him. And you have to ask yourself why. And that's the question I asked Mr. Kutubu. Did you ask them why? Would you make the judgment for yourself? Because what I'm doing is not private, like I'm in the corner and it's only a few people. I am very much on social media. I've got a platform. I've got a few thousand people following me. Some of my videos are doing quite well. So it's no secret. So, Mr. Kutubu, go and watch my tapes. These accusations that these people are making, and I don't know whether you seem to be buying into it, but go and watch my tapes and make the decision yourself. Okay? But why would people want to do this? Why don't you come on the platform and express yourself? What have you got against me? Other than, honestly, by that. Because why would you go at the bottom, don't associate yourself with him? The guy is this, the guy is that. You know, those small, yes say and I say. And we've got a platform to express something sober. But I equally told him, look, I've got some serious business to do. Small minds talk about individuals. Great minds or great thinkers, they talk about issues. And not only issues or ordinary issues, they talk about issues of substance. And that is what I'm doing on this platform. And I'm happy to be on this platform. And I say thank you to every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue brewing in the country, I'm talking about Sierra Leone, Freetown, is serious enough because anything in any country which is related to the Constitution is serious. It's very serious. And especially at this critical moment in time, when a transition has just taken place from one government to the other. If this thing drags on, the only victim is the Sierra Leonean people. And that's why people like us speak. We're not taking sides here. I am not taking sides either. I'm just trying to stay right in the middle. And until I understand this thing fully, because I'm getting live reports, I am trying to weigh the balance, and I'm waiting until I can arrive at some concrete answers as to what's happening. Then I will weigh in and put my opinion into it. But for now, I'm in the flanks. Just looking at the general report that is weighing out there. Because there's a lot, social media, there's a lot coming out. And most of it is partisanship. Most of it is partisan based. Because those in SLPP will accuse the APC directly of fomenting trouble, of being the aggressor. And within the same vein, those supporting the All People's Congress are accusing the SLPP of being the aggressor in different ways. Oh, they promised us this and they're doing this. Oh, they said they were not going to do this, they're doing that. Now we need to rise up above these challenges. We are adults, man. Those of you in governance need to realize that what used to transpire 5, 10, 20 years ago is different. Politics is no longer the same. It's not even going to be fought on regional basis. It has changed. You need to look at your population sample made up of young progressives. That's what you need to look at and wake up and smell the coffee. It's no longer the same. And statistically speaking, if you look at the results of this election, it buttresses my points that I'm trying to make. Except there's a reversing trend, but I don't think it's going to happen because only progress is going to be made because people are wising up. Young people are wising up. Young people are becoming ever more so active than passive in politics. This is a fact. And that's why our political leadership need to rise up against the challenge and try to be more progressive and try to be more encompassing and try to be more socially inclined. Because some of the ways that people lost this election for those losers, and this is my opinion, is while others have got channels of communication, because that is serious, the media communication is serious. I think others were depending on national TV, the SLBC or SLBS, which was basically like non-existent. Sending people out there to go and speak to the diplomatic corps or the international community who are of no or little relevance at all. Did you take the people for granted? Are the new rulers going to take the people for granted as well? Have you started your bickering, your childish mentality, beginning to fight in the House of Parliament? You want to turn our parliament to the parliaments in Ukraine, in Uganda, or somewhere in Turkey? We're beginning to see traits and signs of things that we've never witnessed before in our 50-some-year history. Is that the way you want to go? Ladies and gentlemen, the weeks and days coming are going to be very critical in this young government which is in town. They've got a 5-year mandate. It's obvious that they've got a 5-year mandate. What I'm doing in my personal capacity is calling on the opposition to support the new government if they're not supporting them already. I'm also calling on every one of us to maintain a spirit of unity, a spirit of solidarity, and find the strength and courage in ourselves to watch the new government, support them, watch them what they're doing, and ask the questions when you think they're not doing something right. Remember that they've got a manifesto. Remember that some time ago, there was a platform created in the history of our country called the presidential debate, in which they espouse all their virtues, things that they possibly could do. So there are things that we are going to be holding people accountable for, things that they said that they will do. This is how we need to express maturity, ladies and gentlemen. It's as simple as ABC. You've got a manifesto. In your manifesto, that's what you presented to us, the people. We, the people, the manifesto was presented to us. We need to read through those manifestos. But of course, the manifesto now, because it's the single party in power, so we're talking about a single manifesto. Read through it. And when I say read through proper. The very many of us, if not all of us, also need to read the Constitution. We need to learn to read this body of important documents, because in times to come, it serves us well. So nobody come and tells us, something like we don't know. Of course, the Constitution is a complex body of documents. So it needs minds, here that are trained, called lawyers and attorneys and the rest of it. But to have a basic understanding of the Constitution, that is good. Because if you've read it, even though the interpretation might be different, but when you raise the point, at least even the lawyer will have something to say. Because then he or she will have to explain that part to you, because you already have an idea what it is. You don't wait for somebody to come and explain it to you. You take the case to them. We need to be familiar with our laws, ladies and gentlemen. We need to be familiar with the manifesto of the SLPP. I'm saying this because they are in power. Because in time to come, after the honeymoon is over, then we need to ask the hard questions. If you say you are going to provide free education, we need to be asking after the 3 months deadline is over, when is it going to be initiated? Because you've got a 5-year mandate. You're not going to wait until the 4th year when you know there's an election around the corner, and then you say, now is the time that you found the money, and now is the time that you want to initiate it. So we need to be asking about guidelines. We need to be asking about time, achievable targets. These are the kind of things that we need to be asking our government in time to come, and not too far away. Ladies and gentlemen, I said that this broadcast was going to be short. I don't normally broadcast on weekdays. Obviously, I've explained myself on the reason why, but for those of you who are just joining, let me just acknowledge a few people and read some comments. Brother Teskeru, thank you very much for joining. This is the things that destroy our country, Sierra Leone. That's from Sister Fatmata Kamara. Angela Aminata Sori Kamara, thank you. My sister, Princess Laila Ravina Jallo, thank you very much, my sister. Angela Aminata Sori Kamara, Yusuf Koroma, and Mr. Victor Spin, who is just joined. It seems like a large body of people are in agreement with what I'm saying. And it comes as no surprise, because all I'm saying is I speak from a position of strength, because I stand right in the middle, not supporting X, neither Y. I'm right in the middle. That's where I am. And my country is first, and my people are first. That's the position I take, and that's the position I speak from. So, ladies and gentlemen, I said it was going to be short, and it is short. Mr. Victor Spade, you're just joining, and welcome, my brother. Welcome. I was just trying to explain to the audience why I'm broadcasting midweek. I know a lot of people will have wanted to hear Mr. Kutubu Koroma, so we had an arrangement on the weekend. Mr. Kutubu Koroma has some technical difficulties, so could not come on the interview. I spent a lot of time reading, researching, and preparing a manuscript for that interview. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. 3 days long that I was meant to do the interview. Spent a lot of time only for that interview to be cancelled. Not cancelled, but postponed, because I believe that he didn't say no, neither did he say yes, but because a group of people are now interfering in my program and actively trying to undermine my effort. Instead of them coming, these faceless, godless cowards, instead of them coming and challenging me, putting negative remarks if they want so I can learn from it, this is completely different, because they then gone to Mr. Kutubu, and who knows to the rest of the other people they will have gone to. So there's an active campaign being waged against me there for a new channel that I've just organized, which is pretty much amateurish, because there are lots of times that we have problems with quality of sound and video, but we will get somewhere eventually. And this is what people are already trying to undermine. A baby that is learning how to walk, they are trying to undermine me already. But like I said, any weapon fashioned against me will not prosper, obviously, because my resolve is strong. My skin is thick. My people are my drive. They are my rock, and they are my comforter. They are my stone. They are my salvation. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got serious things to talk about going into the future, and I was just on some of them, but you can't say all. I said, as usual, this broadcast was going to be short, but every time you see people on the channel and people are with you, you appreciate them so much, and you get a little bit lengthier. But I will wrap this broadcast up in the next 10 minutes. But again, for those of you who just joining, we are calling on the opposition party, the All People's Congress, and the rest of them. We are also calling on the ruling party, the Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP, for them to resolve their differences as quickly as possible. The people of Sierra Leone doesn't deserve any of this. The people of Sierra Leone, I repeat, doesn't deserve any of this. There's been a long, drawn-out process called elections. Long, drawn-out process. Campaigns, registration of parties, rallying of parties, presidential debates, finally elections, and then runoff. And then this, come on, man. Come on, man. We need to prove to the world is watching, the world is looking. That's what we're saying. It's not like we're in one little island just by ourselves. The world is watching. So something needs to be done. We need to be decent, we need to be civilized, we need to be courageous, we need to make decisions, and we need to rise up against all this filth. So I ask you, please, 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 try and resolve your differences now. To the president-elect, sir, you've got a lot of work ahead of you, sir. I know the work has already begun. I know you've paid about 2 or 3 working visits abroad already. That tells you how serious, or that should tell us how serious you are. Although we are yet to hear what those visits were yet about. That was your visit recently to the Commonwealth. Of course, we had an idea, but at least you need to brief the people. I don't know whether you've done it already, but the people of Sierra Leone needs to be briefed, not in pocket meetings and corner meetings, but actually on the national radio, on the national broadcast, on your recent visits, so that we are fully aware, we are fully up to speed on what the President of the Republic is doing. Recently, you also visited Senegal, sir. It will be a good thing, a good principle, a good practice for you to come out and tell us what that visit was about. Because about a week now, I've been struggling asking. You probably may have said it, but it's all hearsay and they say. I'm talking about from official channel, official sources. I hope the government gazette is functioning. I hope the government newspaper is functioning. I hope government will produce white papers. These are actual papers that we can look at and say this is officials or this is official. These are the kind of things that we're looking for, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you to you all. Sister Fatmata just put a comment that I want to read. Mr. Mohamed Dauda, hello, how are you? Mr. Piotr Raduchonsky, how are you, my friend? Mr. Raymond Samora, hello, my friend. How can we hold them accountable when Dr. Yunkela was trying to raise the objection? They said it's not important at this time. Well, there we go. I'm not aware about that, but of course, that's something else that I really wanted to touch on, but I will find another day about Dr. Kande Yunkela. Okay? Dr. Kande Yunkela. Because there are divisions right there. When I say divisions, you've got supporters of Dr. Kande Yunkela who think that Dr. Yunkela should just sit in parliament with his 4 other parliamentarians, or 3 plus himself 4, and think that things will be done. But of course, Dr. Yunkela, in his infinite wisdom, does not even think that way, because he knows that with a 4-man team, nothing can be achieved. That he has to broker deals. But those deals have already been dismissed. But no, this is the way politics works. People, we need to understand this. Don't go scolding Dr. Kande Yunkela because he brokered a deal. He can't just sit down and be opposing. And even if he opposed, what difference would his 4-man make other than historical narrative? That long after he's gone, they will say there was a doctor once upon a time that sat in parliament and said no to everything, just like Jeremy Corbyn, who is now the leader of Her Majesty's opposition. So deals have to be made in the interest of the people. Okay? But the best thing that he can do for us is to always bring these things outside. So there is no more yuki inside the House of Parliament, inside the House of the people. So once it doesn't go the right way, Dr. Kande can then publish it to the people so we know. So we know. Because we know that others have got a tendency to compromise in their own interest, not in the interest of the national public or the people of the republic, the length and breadth, 4 corners of the republic. So probably Dr. Yunkela could nicely play that role in the interest of the Sierra Leonean people. And let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Yunkela has got 5 years, and I'm sure he's drawn his blueprint and etc. But I said this a long time ago, or some people were trying to run away with things which were not factual or which were not physically or feasible, or you name it. But actually, it's come to pass that he's got the 5 years, and luckily for us, he's in parliament, so he can then initiate acts. He can then introduce amendments, proposals, and you name it. in the interest of the people, because we will be watching. Then gradually, Dr. Yumkela can build his credibility. People think that he had credibility. No, he never had credibility. And when I say credibility, I'm not talking about international credibility, because this was the Flux argument. All politics is local. All politics, I repeat, is local. So Dr. Kande never had credibility in terms of local politics. But this is the opportunity for Dr. Kande to build his credential, that in 5 years' time, no one is going to question that responsibility. I said this privately. I've got friends who are witness to this, that they can factually say this, and I'm saying it publicly. But I beg to digress, ladies and gentlemen. I said it was going to be short, and it is indeed short, because I'm about to land. Sister Sylvian Kamara, welcome to the program. You disappeared and you are back. You didn't say you were going, but I'm happy that you're back. I hope the family, everybody had a great holiday. I'm going to bring you in the studio soon. I'm now ready for our interview on your particular subject, which is one of female genital mutilation. Some people disagree, they rather circumcision. So you're coming soon. But I'm happy to see that you're back. And ladies and gentlemen, that's one of my strongest supporters. She's been with me from day one, and I can't say much how I appreciate you and everybody else. But just before I go, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to break this down. Okay? Just before I go, I just want to break this down. And it's almost something like, how do I say it? It's almost something like a personal, but it's on a national platform. And this goes to retired Brigadier, His Excellency, the President-elect of Sierra Leone, and the leader of Sierra Leone People's Party, the SLPP, Julius Maada Bio. I've said this before in one of my broadcasts as a matter of advice, and I did say this to the last government in my own weak way, where I've got a platform which is here. I did mention the 4 principles that I believe which will help raise the standard of living of our people. But today, I want to expand on those 4 principles, Your Excellency. I will sincerely hope that your government, sir, will focus on how, I repeat, your government, sir, will focus on how you can radically change the economy. I also want to say, sir, this government of yours should make as a matter of priority that decreasing the number of people living below the poverty line should be way on top of your priority or priorities, because yes, there are many. Decreasing the number of people living below the poverty line, Your Excellency. At some point, Mr. President, although under the past government there were notable changes in the lives of people, but there is always room for improvement, sir. And in this regard, while some were running away with wealth, when I say running away with wealth, I mean they were getting so rich, while people continue to struggle. Look at Bombay, Your Excellency. Look at Bay, and I could name many other slums. As a boy, I grew up. These slums were there. They've not changed. Instead, they've got worse. I think, sir, you should pay attention to those places. If you were to win hearts and minds, these 3 things, although I've got some more to tell you, that will win you hearts and minds. Try and erase the massive gap in terms of wealth, in terms of have and the have-nots. That gap should be erased. Or in other words, narrow answer. In that country, there are many unresolved issues, Mr. President, from that of social to that of justice to that of economics and many more. Many unresolved issues, Mr. President. As a matter of priority, Mr. President, I call on you to address these issues with the urgency that they deserve, and that must be now. Issues relating to social, economic, and the injustice that are pending, that are massive, the backlog of files, the disgruntlement of people must be addressed. Because then the pressure of the people will come down. Then chance will be given. Then common sense will begin to prevail. Because there will be an appearance of, well, at least we've been looked after, or there is a tendency that we will be looked after. Because these are everyday issues, Mr. President. These are bread and butter issues. Mr. President, please try and reverse the trend of a starving, stressed, and sick and dying population. Mr. President, I repeat, please try and reverse the trend of we starving population, we stressed population, and we dying population. In other words, focus on health. I'm not saying on health alone because there are other areas, but what percentage of our GDP goes to health? But because the population has increased, so must the percentage of money that goes to health or GDP be increased to reflect, here the national domain, the 7 million plus people. You cannot be having 15% or 20% of your economy going towards health when your population was 4 million, and even though your national census say that the population is now 7 million and counting, and then it remains the same. That's illogic. So I think that these issues should be addressed. And Mr. President, you should try to achieve a very low infant mortality and maternal mortality rate. These things are saying, not because the past government did not do their bit. I'm saying what they did should be built upon. Some were reckless. But to say that they did not do things would be delusional, and I'm not delusional. So there are physical structures that are there. There are policies that are in place which are good, that can be looked at. But I'm speaking here in behalf of the general good of our people, Mr. President. And that's why I say this, and I say it with passion. The emphasis is mine. I say it with passion. I'm saying it in the goodness for our people. Reverse the trend of starving, stress, sick, and dying population, Mr. President. Try to achieve very low mortality and infant mortality and maternal mortality rate. Mr. President, also I'm asking you to please expand and implement a large-scale program for mothers and children. I know the last government did something similar in which I think free healthcare was afforded to lactating mothers and I think children under 5. I stand to be corrected, but yeah, there was something done. That can be expanded. That can be built upon. So there's a mechanism, there's a structure in place that can be expanded, Mr. President. But my general appeal to you is for you to try and expand. That's why I critically use the word, and an emphasis again is mine. Expand, because something already exists, and implement a large-scale program of mothers and children. Mr. President, for a nation to be successful in terms of the economy, and in fact the economy is the one that actually determines whether a nation is successful or is going to be successful, I say this to you, sir. Macroeconomics is quite critical for this, your young government. And why I'm saying this is because from the beginning of my advice, there was something as to you have to change the current economic structure. To do this, we have to identify our main economic goal. You see, here in the West, Mr. President, you've lived here, you've studied here. So these are things that you understand well. And I hope the band of ministers and all those responsible will try to implement plans, devise measures, bring about sound principles and policies that are workable, that are doable, so that the people of that country can find respite instead of despite, Mr. President. So let's identify what our main economic goals are. And once you've done that, you make it public so that it's you and the public. There's a contract between you and your people. And together, you're faring going forward. Because you've made it known to them, this is my economic objective. And this is the way I hope that we will achieve it. And together we can. So yes, indeed, we can. So it's an onward or forward march for every one of us. If you are left behind, then that means you're not serious, and that means you get bad acts. Or that means you get issues. And if you get issues, then make it known to the administration. That no, it can't, Mr. President, what about this way? What about that way? Let us become a bunch of advisors. Let me just welcome some people in the channel, in the chat room. Sister Sandra Kemo, how are you? We need to talk, Sandra. I hope all is well with you and your family. Mr. Sekou John Barry, how you doing, brother? Welcome to the program. I know you just come from working. And my friend and brother, Mr. J. Musa, you've avoided me suddenly, and I'm going to hold you responsible in this public domain. Mr. J. Musa is one of my technical team people. He knows a thing or two about what I do in terms of wiring and etc. And has personally given me a service on more than one occasion to try and straighten things out for me. But lately, I've sent the brother messages, and I'm not getting it back. And it's personal between me and you. So I felt a bit disappointed, and I must make it known. But probably you are busy, but at least a line, bro, just to show that you are up and running. That would be much appreciated, other than the silence. But in the meantime, welcome to the program. Mr. Sekou John Barry, welcome. I was asking earlier on about people who are actually familiar, because I'm not really familiar with the case down in Freetown, regarding Parliament, regarding SLPP and APC, regarding who is the aggressor, who is misbehaving, who is doing what. I'm not really familiar. I've heard too many stories. I've never had time to dig into it deeply. But maybe in a day or two, I will really have the nitty-gritty of what is going on. And I want to talk about it in a constitutional sense. But on this domain right now, yeah, Mr. J. Musa, it's not a problem, brother. I know that. Yeah, we go back a long way. So I'm absolutely fine. I felt a little bit taken aback when I didn't hear from you. And especially so regarding events. I say, oh my God, come on. But anyway, the hardest word, you've already said it, and you said it publicly. Who am I? Thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother. So I'm not really familiar, but like I'm saying, in a day or two, I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty of this, and I'm looking at it from a constitutional framework. But for now, I'm just weighing into it in and out. But I'm more or less addressing the new government. It's the new guys in town that I'm really talking to. And I'm asking them, whoever is the aggressor, I'm not interested in that. I'm appealing to both parties, the SLPP, the APC, to put their acts together very, very soon. Because the people don't need any of this. The people are hung dry. Okay? They are hung dry. Election campaign, election boombe, election advice, election presidential, and etc., etc. All of this. And then a runoff. And then now this. Come on. The people themselves are fed up. So we need to move on. So I'm speaking directly to the government. And just before I took a break, Mr. Sekou John and Mr. J. Musa, who I believe just coming on now, I was just sending direct conversation to the president. If the president ever gets to listen to this, or any of his advisors get to listen to this, I hope they pass this message on to the president, because this is an advice that is in the interest of the nation. Okay, it's in the interest of the nation. Just before I go back advising, I am trying to make a transition soon from Facebook to YouTube. For me and to me, YouTube is more professional in terms of what I am doing. I'm grateful to Facebook for providing the platform for transitioning. We've got a few thousand followers. If you watch the videos on YouTube, We've got few people are following us, and that is good. So we want to build upon it. But sometimes the technical problems involving YouTube, and Facebook, it can be difficult, and not everybody is patient enough to follow us in that direction when the quality of the sound is rubbish, the quality of the music is rubbish. Because what happens is with Facebook, as soon as the video is done, there is no editing, anything of the kind. It's uploaded immediately. So as soon as this video is finished, in 5 minutes' time, it is available. It's a little bit different with YouTube. Okay? With YouTube now, they can help you. You can keep your video. You can edit it before you make it public. It can also be zipped. In other words, it can be compressed. Like sometimes with Facebook, the line drop and the video becomes fuzzy, probably for a minute or two, or even sometimes more. But with YouTube now, it's a bit different. So I'm transitioning into YouTube. Some of you may have received my invite. Please come along with me to YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen, another thing again, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscription is kind of associated with money, but not in all cases. And in this case, it is not so. It's just subscription. Go to YouTube, look for my page. I'm going to put it back there soon in the chat room. And just click on the subscribe button. Your card, your Visa cards are not attached to that. So there's no way, it doesn't involve money. Please, I'm just looking for the numbers. In 3 months' time, I'm looking like having 1,000 subscribers. And that helps me within the YouTube domain. And I'm sure you can make that possible for me. Don't forget your comments as well. That's our line. And for those of you that are just joining, Sekou John Barry, Mr. J. Musa, Madam Sandra Kemal, even this little thing that I'm doing, people have started undermining me. Last week, I was meant to interview Mr. Kutubu Kroma, which I made public. Mr. Kutubu Kroma was willing to come and have the interview. I can do without him, okay? But he's having an opinion. And that opinion, like we said on this channel, whatever, sexually, religiously, and etc., your opinion must be heard. Even though he's contentious, controversial, polarizing, splits opinion right in the middle, we said he must be heard. So we arranged an interview. Unfortunately, the interview did not go on because Mr. Kutubu had some technical issues on his end and could not join the channel. So we made arrangements after the broadcast on Sunday gone that he will come. We will do it midweek, Wednesday, which prompted me to make the announcement that on today, we will have the interview. You know, my broadcasts are once a week, only once a week on Sundays, 8 o'clock. Okay, there must be something exceptional, and this was it. And as I've got so many things to talk about. Come Sunday, I said, well, it's just good that we get the interview done with. And there were many people that was looking forward to it. On Monday, Mr. Kutubu called me and he sent me a text that certain people are undermining me. They told him not to associate himself with me. They told him not to promote my channel. I don't know how, because I can't go into it anyway. But that's what certain people were doing. They took my photo off social media and sent it to him to make sure that he identified me. And I'm thinking, why would people do this? But he was kind enough to provide me with the contact of these people. And I've gone down deep into it. And I've got two of these people that are actually trying to undermine me. And what is surprising and shocking at the same time is these two people are not people that I'm kind of associated with. Okay? I don't know them. And I'm sure they don't know me other than social media. We don't hang out together. I'm a social animal. I'm out there. People know that. I'm a social commentator and things like that. But then these guys, I don't know them. So I'm beginning to suspect, are they doing somebody's bidding? Because why would they be doing what they're doing to me if they don't know me and I don't know them? There's somebody asking them to do that. I can't be really far away. But I beg to digress. Let me just move on to what I'll say. So this is the situation. So Mr. Kutubu has been having 2 months now, and instead of me calling this broadcast off today, well, it's like there's something going on in the parliament, but I never had time because of work to dig deep into it. So therefore, I don't have concrete evidence. Concrete evidence I don't have. So I don't want to wade into it, other than appeal to both sides that they need to stop what they're doing now. make the ultimate sacrifice in the interest of the people, and then hit the ground running. So just before I went into this, I don't know how to call it, I was trying to send messages to His Excellency, the President-elect, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio. I was just on the verge of, or I was saying that we need to identify, or he needs to identify, what is our economic goal. And once he is done that, ladies and gentlemen, he can then make it public. Imagine how you win hearts and minds if he makes it public. Because what he's doing now is signing a social contract with him and his people, or his government and his people. So it is a kind of participatory democracy. The people are partaking. Okay? Somehow they feel part and parcel of the process. So identify what our economic goals are, and then, Mr. President, make it public, get the people engaged. The current economic structure of Mr. President, it needs to change. It needs to change, Mr. President. There's also a requirement for the growth of labor efficiency. And to get that growth there, Mr. President, means that our labor laws, which are archaic, they are obsolete, Mr. President, don't reflect the time. It has to change. Or there has to be a reform, a major reform within our labor laws, Mr. President. And this is serious. It's archaic, it's obsolete. It needs to be rewritten. So, Mr. President, I'm kindly asking you, sir, to look into this. Labor laws, for our labor rules to be efficient, the labor laws need to be looked into. Labor laws are archaic, Mr. President. They are completely outdated. We need a sort of policy, a kind of labor policy, Mr. President, that will reflect the present time. And the one that is there now, it doesn't. That's what makes it archaic. It's of yesteryears. In times gone, Mr. President, doing this will present us with an opportunity to move towards the next step, towards developing an efficient labor force. Mr. President, doing this will enable us to take the next step in becoming labor efficient. I'm about to wrap up this program, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to acknowledge all those that have made comments today in the chat room. I appreciate you so much. I was just ending on the issue of labor laws, how archaic they are and they need to change. And if we do, or Mr. President, if you do take those steps, you are going to be presenting the Sierra Leonean people a big opportunity in moving forward and reflecting the present time, the present condition as we find ourselves. Our labor force, our workforce is going to be more efficient, because I'm sure this is what your government wants. You need to apply the right macroeconomic conditions, Mr. President. Because when that is applied, that will enable your government to take specific measures in those areas that need addressing. Above all, Mr. President, and of course, when these actions are taken, inflation numbers, which I believe are in double digits, you should move heaven and earth to try to bring inflation down to single digits. Please try to grow our reserves, Mr. President. Whether it's currency or otherwise, whichever way you do it, this will help to achieve macroeconomic stability. Mr. President, I salute you. I welcome you to the new position. I urge you to work for the Sierra Leonean people. I've provided my own advice in my little way, in my little platform. I told everybody that we'll give you 3 months, which is a honeymoon period. You have got a manifesto which you presented to the Sierra Leonean people, which was on that basis that you were elected president. So as time goes by, we are going to fine-read those issues inside your manifesto, and this channel is going to use that manifesto probably on a weekly basis and deal with the issues themselves. We know you've got serious business to do. Remember all the promises that you made: free education, You have to provide us with a timeline, sir. Not on the 4th year, but any time from now. I'm sure you can, that you promise. I'm sure we will see discipline. I'm sure there are going to be notable improvements, but I'm sure there are other structures in which you can build upon which the last government left. At this point in time, I congratulate you, sir. I salute you. In the meantime, I want to say thank you to all of you once more that was part and parcel of this program. I'll be coming to you live on Sunday, and probably we're going to talk at length and breadth about whether this is a constitutional issue, whether somebody was just being naughty, or etc. We're going to talk about it on Sunday. Okay? We're definitely going to be talking about it on Sunday. But for the rest of the team here at the then and now, I sound like somebody's calling me. I'm about to end the program. I'm not going to be taking any calls, man. But I appreciate all of you for joining the program today. So